Easter Gospel reading comes from Luke chapter 24, verses 1 to 12. On the first day of the week, at early dawn, the women came to the tomb, taking the spices that they had prepared. They found the stone rolled away from the tomb, but when they went in, they did not find the body. While they were perplexed about this, suddenly 2 men in dazzling clothes stood beside them. The women were terrified and bowed their faces to the ground, but the men said to them, "Why do you look for the living among the dead? He is not here, but has risen. Remember how he told you while he was still in Galilee that the Son of Man must be handed over to sinners and be crucified, and on the third day rise again." Then they remembered his words, and returning from the tomb, they told all this to the 11 and to all the rest. Now it was Mary Magdalene, Joanna, Mary the mother of James, and the other women with them who told this to the apostles. But these words seemed to them an idle tale, and they did not believe them. But Peter got up and ran to the tomb. Stooping and looking in, he saw the linen cloths by themselves. Then he went home, amazed at what had happened. This past week, as we journeyed through Holy Week, I invited you to pay attention to the women in the stories that we've heard about Jesus' final days. It was almost unheard of for women to be included in literature of the time, and women were near the bottom of the social hierarchy. But each of the gospel passages we heard this past week not only included women, but those women played a significant role in helping us more deeply understand and experience the power of Jesus' ministry and his actions. We last saw Jesus' women followers at Jesus' burial. And for most of the events leading up to the crucifixion, the women were in the background, but they remained a steady presence, watching and waiting. The women have now moved from the background to the forefront of our story. After the Sabbath day, the women went to the tomb, expecting to anoint Jesus and prepare him for his burial. They, like the rest of Jesus' followers at the time, did not expect him to be resurrected. They thought the cross was the end. They assumed that the dead would stay dead. These women going to the tomb with the spices to finish preparing his body for burial were serving Jesus the best way they knew how. But when they showed up to give Jesus a proper burial, they realized that what they had prepared to do couldn't have been farther from what was actually necessary. They went to the tomb and immediately discovered the tomb was empty. No Jesus and no body to prepare for burial. And then 2 beings who were presumably angels appeared to help explain the absence of Jesus' body. The angels did not offer words of reassurance such as "do not be afraid," as we commonly see when angels appear. Rather, they told the women that Jesus was not there, but had risen. In 5 words in Greek, the most important statement of our faith is revealed. He is not here. He is risen. And the women were the first to witness, and they were the first to proclaim this good news. And then the angelic beings asked the women, "Why do you look for the living among the dead?" This question interrupts reality as the women knew it, and it interrupts our reality as we know it. The reality of our world includes the fact that death is death. In the experience of Jesus' first disciples and in our own experience, people who are dead stay dead. The reality is that life does not come from or emerge from death. Or at least that's the way it used to be before Jesus. But now, through Jesus, God became fully human, endured every aspect of being human, including suffering and death. And now God created something new in the life that Jesus has beyond death. When the women realized that what they thought was true about the world actually wasn't, they went without delay to tell all the people who had been following Jesus. The men struggled to recognize what the women told them was true. The men didn't believe that Jesus was alive. Now, they didn't believe not because they didn't believe the women's words, might have been part of it, but rather they just didn't think and believe that Jesus would rise from the dead. They believed that people who were dead stay dead. But God did the unexpected. God used the most unexpected people. This was good news beyond any of them could ever begin to imagine. If dead people don't stay dead, then pretty much anything else is possible. This is all crazy. It's absurd. It's ridiculous. Luke doesn't tell us that the women believed, but rather they remembered. These women remembered the words that Jesus had told all of his followers about what would happen to him, that he would suffer and die, but that he would be resurrected. They remembered what Jesus had done in the past and that he had been with them. They remembered that Jesus told them he was bringing a new sort of kingdom. They remembered, and their lives were completely interrupted. Being a follower of Jesus isn't about finding comfort in what is familiar and known, but rather being a follower of Jesus is about openness to having our whole world turned upside down. Being a follower of Jesus is about God's love and presence being experienced in the most absurd and unexpected ways. It's about life being interrupted by good news. The good news of Jesus' resurrection should interrupt everything we know is true about the world. When God raised Jesus from the dead, God demonstrated the new reality that God created, a new reality of life and abundance. And so on this Easter celebration, we are reminded of what God has done, saved the whole world. And in the midst of that, we are also reminded of who we are. We are disciples, followers of Jesus, and beloved children of God. These two reminders call us back to faithfulness, to responding in the most faithful way that we can. These two reminders help us hope again, and hope pulls us forward. Hope pulls us toward a future that we once thought was impossible. It is the hope of resurrection that pulls us forward toward a world that isn't dominated by brokenness. Hope helps us know that wholeness and life and abundance are possible. Now that our lives have been interrupted by the best good news, we're called to keep moving forward. And we're called to share this good news with others, which requires us to keep moving forward. The good news of Jesus' resurrection invites us to ask ourselves the same question that the women were asked at Jesus' tomb that first Easter morning. Why do we look for the living among the dead? Or in other words, why do you assume that what's always been will continue to be? Why are you satisfied with what is? What assumptions are you making about where Jesus is and what Jesus is doing? Can you trust there's something more and better for you, for your family, for this congregation, and for this community? Have you forgotten all the things that are possible with God by our side? The good news of Easter, the good news of Jesus' empty tomb, interrupts everything that we thought was true about the world. And the empty tomb is the heart of our faith. The empty tomb that the women first witnessed and proclaimed is what interrupts our lives in the best possible way. The empty tomb pulls us forward with hope to imagine what else might be possible because Jesus didn't stay dead. And so as we go from here, I pray that you might go out amazed at what new things are possible. May you be amazed at what the Holy Spirit is doing in your life. May you be amazed at what God is doing in our congregation and in our community. And may you be amazed at the way Jesus is interrupting our lives still today. May you grow in your capacity to wonder, to be amazed, and to be open to something new and unexpected. All of this is what it means for Jesus to be risen. He is risen indeed. Alleluia.